The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the Optavia team.
Welcome, everybody. We are now on our Habits of Health webinar for Optavia. We're glad that you're here. If you're a guest that's just joining us and you never even really knew what this was all about, you just got invited on social media or maybe somebody sent you a link, we're glad that you're here. The content that we're going to share tonight is going to be applicable for everyone. We're going to be talking about back to school habit of health tips, how to live a healthier lifestyle in the new school year and a busy life. And whether you have kids going back to school or whether you are in a situation where you are not in a situation, maybe you're an empty nester and you're kind of wondering what back to school tips that you can apply, but maybe you could go back to school and maybe you could learn some new healthy lifestyle tips just from some amazing people that are sharing some exciting transformational stories on how they have applied the habits of health to their life. You're going to hear a lot of different references to different topics, and you may be in a position where you are currently following a specific meal plan and working with your coach, whether that be the 5-in-1 plan or the 4-in-2 or 3-in-3. Anything that we share tonight, you want to make sure you bring it back to your coach and have a conversation with them about some of the ideas that were shared, because some of them may be permissible for you, but they may not be beneficial for your particular plan and your particular goals. We have a lot of health professionals, health coaches, and health clients, as well as friends and family members that are joining us tonight. So we're glad that everybody's here. My name is David Bush. I'm a certified Optavia coach, and I get to be your host and moderator. As you can see from the screen, I had a major transformation 10 years ago. I ended up learning how to live a healthier lifestyle with this program, and it totally transformed what I thought I knew about getting healthier. And if you would have told me 10 years ago that I'd be leading a back to school Habits of Health webinar with, thousands of people watching and people watching the recording of this, you would have been crazy in my mind, because I never would have thought of myself as being a health guide or a health coach or a health educator. And the fact that I could be sharing stories of other people that have transformed their lives would have been crazy. But what has happened to me over the last 10 years is I've learned this amazing program, Optavia, can help anybody and everybody that wants to create health and well-being in their life. And so tonight's agenda is going to be fast-paced. We're going to share some principles that we have learned in our life. We're going to talk about the challenge and barriers that we faced in living a healthy lifestyle, especially going back into the back-to-school season. But we're going to try to break it down into some simple, practical tips coming directly from Dr. Anderson's Habits of Health book. Sold over 1 million copies. It's been a great resource for people that really want to learn how to create a healthy lifestyle. And then we have 4 amazing teachers and parents that are going to be talking about how they implemented specific habits of health into their lifestyle so that you can hear it firsthand from people that have transformed their life. We're also going to be talking about different support options that you can leverage should you choose to plug into those support resources to get lifelong transformation, predictable transformation, one healthy habit at a time. But before we get started, I want to ask you some quick questions, time for some reflection. So if you're multitasking, multi-navigating, come back to this particular question or these questions, because I think it'll really help you to stop and think. What is your goal? Do you have a specific goal to eat healthier, to lose weight, get fit, reduce stress, or increase energy? Do you have a written down goal? That's going to be a great takeaway from today. Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable, relevant, and time-bound? If it's not, you'll want to reach out to your coach and work with them to get your goal into writing. But let's say that you could achieve that goal. If you could achieve anything physically, what would you do? Are you dreaming to that level? We want to help you to live that bigger life, and that's what we're all about in Optavia, is helping people to live bigger lives. What about if you had all the energy that you wanted? What would you do in the next 3, 6, 9, or 12 months that you're not doing today? You have the capacity inside of you to get healthier and create optimal health in your life in a very short period of time. Are you believing in that for yourself? Are you beginning to think about the things that you could do if you simply just took the actions today? What if you did take those actions? Who else would benefit in your life? Friends, family members, coworkers, teachers, students? I mean, think about the impact of your healthy choices. And the final question today is, if you could choose optimal health, would you choose it? And what we found is that when people make a choice, it doesn't make a difference what the facts are. And the facts are that people are very unhealthy. You may be finding yourself in these statistics. 2/3 of adult Americans are overweight. 1/3 of them are obese. 20% of kids ages 2 to 19 are obese. 30 million Americans have diabetes, and 86 million Americans are pre-diabetic. They're gonna have diabetes. And they don't call it livabetes, right? It's something where it's a major tragedy in a family when that disease is contracted and it's beginning to show its symptoms. And what the symptoms are is it begins to pull people out of life. And now we're taking, this to our kids. This is the first time in American history where the next generation, our kids, are going to have a lower quality of life and a lower mortality age than the previous generation. We need to be able to take these habits and simplify them and put them into our life so that we can hand these off to the next generation. While these pictures may be a little bit extreme, they're becoming more and more commonplace because more and more people are struggling with adopting a healthy lifestyle. And they really are simple habits of health. And in Dr. Anderson's book, The Habits of Health, he breaks them down into these particular categories. These 6 categories are covered inside of this amazing resource. And if you use this resource or contact the person that invited you, they can get you that resource and make sure that you know how to go through it. It may be a little overwhelming at first when you just see the size of the book, but it's very consumable, literally and figuratively. So the 6 simple habits of health, or 7 simple habits of health that we want to talk about today, is some very simple things that you can take into this next school year. The very first habit we want to simplify is just to remind yourself of why you want to be healthy. Do you have a strong reason of why to do it? Have you clarified that and written it down? And then if you could begin to wake up and eat within 30 minutes of waking, and you could eat every 2 to 3 hours a small protein carb balance fueling 5 to 6 times a day, you would you'd be practicing habits of healthy nutrition, and you would be fueling your body for energy and performance. If you could take in 64 ounces of water, now that may just be a minimum for some people, or it may be a little bit of a stretch for some of you that are not drinking much. But that simple habit of health could give you a healthier school year. It could be a habit to transfer to your kids. Being active may be something that may be a stretch, literally and figuratively. Being an exerciser or a fitness fanatic may be a little too much right now. But if you could start incorporating healthy activity into your life ongoing into the school year, you would end up having an amazing transformation over just a short period of time. If you could get in 7 to 8 hours of sleep and hang out with healthy people and begin to decrease and eliminate stress, you would end up living a healthier lifestyle, and you would see amazing transformation in just a short period of time. It's really that simple. But why don't we do it? Here's some of the reasons, and I'd love to see some of the reasons. I'm going to show them quickly here, but what do you think is the biggest barrier to living a healthier lifestyle? Put it in the chat feature. These are the things that we have come up with as being the most common excuses or common reasons as to why people are struggling with getting healthier. What do you think it is? And put it in the chat feature. We'd love to see some feedback. But here's what we found: time and perceived lack thereof of time. But reality, health and habits are not a time issue. It's a matter of priority and value, right? And when you prioritize it and value it, you find the time to do it. But there's a lot of information out there and confusion out there. And so what we want to do is try to simplify it. But a lot of people are confused. They've been misinformed. They have a whole lot of stuff that's going on in their life, and that oftentimes they struggle to really incorporate the very basic things and habits of health, and they begin to give up. But habits matter. And right now, your habits may be leading you to making some unhealthy choices and leading to cravings, but we will help you to break those habits just by changing some of the routines. And some of the content we're going to share tonight is going to help you to do that. So let's jump right into it. What really matters in terms of living a healthy lifestyle and going back into school is eating on a regular basis. This study that was done by Dr. David Jenkins out of the University of Toronto, he pioneered the concept of low glycemic eating, which is really considered low carbohydrate eating. It's not to say that you're going to do a complete carbohydrate fast, but it's going to balance your carbohydrates and protein. And what he found is that people that ate 6 small meals, eating the same exact foods as somebody that ate them in 3 different sittings, actually had less hunger, they lost more weight, they reduced their cholesterol by 15%, and they reduced their blood insulin by 28%. So going into the school year and having healthier snacks that you have prepared that are protein carb balanced, here's some examples of pairing a protein with a carb. Now, again, this may be a little bit more thinking than some of you are doing. And for those of you that are doing one of our meal plans, this may not be a part of your particular plan, but if you are in a position where you are optimizing your health, you've already lost your weight, or you're in a position where you're trying to learn how to lose weight, this is a strategy that we share with people, that we show them how to pair proteins and carbs. Now, a lot of this is a little complicated for people, and so what they do is that they find a simpler strategy. And we do have a simpler strategy. The simpler strategy is using what we call fuelings. Fuelings are portion-controlled meals that have basically been medically formulated and nutritionally fortified with all of the right protein and carbs and fiber and vitamins and minerals and a healthy probiotic in a grab-and-go fueling option. It's a healthy fast food. Now, fast food kind of gets the book thrown at them, but when you have a convenient fast food that's healthy, that's not a bad option. It's a tool. Now, Dr. A's Habits of Health on page 120 and 121 lists 67 different healthy snacks that are considered to be low glycemic. And if you haven't taken a look at that book yet, it's a great section to dive into because it's applicable to your day right now. And if you want a copy of this and you are not a client or a coach of our program, reach out to the person that invited you and they'll get you a free copy of this. This is just a great resource to have just to begin to plan and prepare for healthier snacks for the kids and for yourself if you're not doing our program. If you are doing our program, talk to your coach and they can get you some more resources and give you a full breakdown of the over 67 different portion-controlled fuelings that we have with our program that are already done for you. Now let's talk about the plate size. Most people are using a large plate, and it's usually a 10 to 12 inch plate. But what we're wanting people to do is to simplify that plate and move it to a smaller plate, 7 to 9 inch plate, and to break that plate up into more of a better balance. Now, if you're already at a healthy body weight, this is what we would recommend, is we would do 50% of the plate is vegetables and fruits, 25% of the plate is protein, and 25% is starch. If you're doing the lean and green plan, then you're going to do the standard lean and green plan that is recommended by your coach. But having this as a visualization, having this right in front of you will help you to determine smaller portions. And the same thing goes with your kids. If you have a healthy lunchbox for your kids, you can help them to break down this protein carb balance and not make it real complicated. And you can make it fun. You can have pinwheel roll-ups with turkey and spinach on a low-carb tortilla or Greek yogurt, fruit, and granola. Pairing up those protein and carbohydrates are going to help your kids to have a more balanced nutrition plan, or it's going to have you having a more balanced nutrition plan. And there's lots of great resources with dividers and portion-controlled trays that are reusable that you can purchase and use as a tool to help you to make better decisions and make better healthy choices. So those are some simple habits of healthy nutrition. Next, I want to bring up Marilyn Partridge. Marilyn is a teacher. She has an amazing history with helping being an educator, and she has a real passion for teaching, but she's also got a passion for health. And I'm going to have her share a little bit more about her story and how she incorporated her healthy habits with some healthy motion. Marilyn, welcome to the webinar.
Thanks, David. I'm so thrilled to be here. I'll start with my story. I have struggled with my weight my entire life, and in fact was on a diet from the age of 8 until a few years ago when I was 53. And that kind of put me at war with my body and with food. And I found Optavia through my niece and was able to lose 59 pounds. And I have to be honest, when I started Optavia, I thought it was just another diet. But I was pretty impressed with how I got to eat every 3 hours. That was my favorite part because I tend to be hypoglycemic. And it's not good to be hangry if you're a teacher. And so I loved being able to eat every 3 hours. It worked perfectly with my schedule. I think it's great with all busy people. And then I would have to say all of the four components really came together for me in helping me achieve my success, and still do. I'm still working on my health. But I would say the mindset training was the most valuable to me, using the stop, challenge, choose, and the living above the line. And what I love is that when you're working on your health or your mindset, it affects every other area of your life. And that's what I've found in my life. It's affected me as a teacher, as a wife, as a sister, as a friend, in every area of my life. So I would also really quickly tell you that at 53, I was overweight and tired and talking a little bit too often about retiring early, maybe. And 2 years later, I feel younger at 55 than I did at 35. And I honestly feel like my life has just begun. I feel like the options are limitless. So that's a little of my story. And the habit that I was given was the habits of healthy motion, or habits of motion. I wanted to start with Dr. A's NEAT, which is an acronym representing all of the tiny little ways that we are in motion throughout the day. And just thinking of myself when I was overweight, and a lot of people who are overweight, we didn't have energy and we don't want to move. It's not comfortable. And so he starts kind of where you are and challenges you to start moving in just all the little ways. So take the stairs instead of the elevator. Park farther away than you need to, different things like that, even the way you sit. And that's in chapter 15 of the Habits of Health. And so, I used to be in that mindset of kind of thinking that you could exercise to make up for what you had eaten, which a lot of people get kind of sucked into. And we all find that it doesn't work, but we still go by that philosophy anyway. And what ends up happening, or what I should just say what happened for me, is exercise became kind of a punishment. Like I ate badly, so I have to exercise it off. And I love exercise. I didn't want to see it as a punishment, and now I don't. So I personally do some cardio and some free weight lifting, but I think like this is talking about, the very first one says, pick an activity you enjoy. That's so important. And some people enjoy exercising with other people. Some prefer alone. We all just enjoy different activities. Choose something you enjoy and do it because it makes you feel energetic and it strengthens your bones and muscles. One last thing I'd share is that I heard the idea of a minimum baseline for behavior that you want toward achievements. If you set a minimum baseline of, I'm going to wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and exercise for an hour, you're likely to fail. So set a minimum baseline that's realistic, that you can almost certainly achieve, and then add to it as you have time. That's what I have to tell you about habits of motion. Thank you.
That's great, Marilyn. And I think that you're right on the money in terms of talking about picking something that you can enjoy and starting with the non-exercise activities, which is the acronym for NEAT. So starting with things that you can do versus the idea of thinking of what you can't do because you have a busy schedule. Mm-hmm. So let's go over to Priscilla Sera. Priscilla's up in St. Paul, Minnesota, and she's also a teacher. And I got a chance to work directly with Priscilla and watch her transformation. And Priscilla, I'd love for you to just come in and share a little bit about your story and talk about how to get healthy sleep patterns during a back to school season.
Thanks, David. Yeah, 7 years ago, I was tired, exhausted, and was preparing for the beginning of school. And to be honest with you, I wasn't quite convinced that I really wanted to go back to school because I was already exhausted and the kids hadn't come in the door yet. Part of the problem was that I was obese. And as a family of three, we decided, my husband, my daughter, and I, that we needed to do something about our weight. And in doing something about our weight, we got in contact with a health coach who convinced us that it was best for us to do a plan together and do the same plan, because that would be a chance for us to support each other. It would make life a lot easier. And with supporting each other, we could have more success. Early on in my walk on this journey to weight loss, I soon realized that it was more than just about weight loss. It was about habits, and it was about lifestyle changes that needed to take place. And I was learning that by reading Dr. A's Habits of Health. And one of the first habits of health that I decided I needed to take action on was habits of sleep. And I'm a 6 o'clock girl, and I like to get up early in the morning. And so that means that I need to have a set bedtime, like at about 10 o'clock at night, so that I get my 7 to 8 hours of sleep. But more importantly than that, the day before, while I'm walking through my day, I need to be preparing myself for that healthy sleep. And so instead of, when the alarm goes off, instead of staying in bed, I get out of bed. I used to get my iPad and check my emails. Not a good idea. Or we'd turn on the news and we would watch the morning news. Not a good idea. So now I get up and get myself ready, have a good breakfast, and have my devotions, and then I'm set for my day. And as I'm at school, I'm learning other things that I need to be doing as well so that I'm prepared for sleep, like eliminating things that I don't need to do, being able to say, no, thank you, being able to stay away from people that do not edify me, but rather bring me down. Then I also realized that I needed to delegate. My students needed to know that they were important and that they could have a role in the classroom. And so did the students that came over from the university. Not just give them something menial, but give them something that was important that I no longer would need to do. That way, I could focus on the things that I did need to do. Maybe answer some emails or write some thank you notes or work on some report cards or do some lesson plans. But those were things that I needed to do that nobody else could do. And if there was a project, I could probably delay that project. I didn't have to get it done right away. I could maybe work on it the next week. That way, when I left school at school. And that freed me to be the mom and the wife that God had intended me to be. And when I would get home, I would go for a walk with my husband, and we would enjoy conversation, maybe deprogram the day, talk about our successes, talk about things that maybe didn't go as well. Then we would have our supper together, which would be our lean and green. And that was an easy thing to fix. And then after that, it was spending time together. And then 9 o'clock rolls around, I turn off my phone, I turn off my laptop, I keep my iPad on just for a little bit longer so I can play a few games just to help me unwind. And then it's time to turn that off and to get ready for bed. And by the time I've done all of that, not only did I have energy to complete a full day, but I felt I had had a successful day and I could go to bed knowing that I had accomplished a lot. And I was grateful for the strength and the energy that I had to complete all of those activities.
Wow, that's amazing. I love hearing your story, Priscilla. And just so everybody knows, in terms of transformation, I didn't hear your total transformation with your health journey. Would you mind sharing that with everybody, just so everybody hears your physical transformation?
Yeah, my physical transformation was in 17 weeks, I lost 44 pounds. And our family of 3 lost over 125 pounds, a whole person.
Yeah, and Priscilla's got an amazing story with just getting back into the classroom and just being an energetic leader of health and beginning to speak to students about health-related issues that she hadn't really been bringing up in her classroom. So thanks, Priscilla. We love hearing your story, and thanks for sharing those great sleep tips. Next, we're going to go over to Lansing, Michigan and talk to Mike Harrison. Mike is actually a business professor at a small college up in Lansing, Michigan, and Mike's going to be talking about habits of healthy support. Mike, welcome to the webinar.
Hey, Dave, so grateful to be here, and it's been just amazing seeing the posts in the chat, and boy, some amazing stories, very inspiring to me just watching the chat. There I am, a picture on the left-hand side here in front of a mountain in Haiti. I'd taken some of my students there. And we were going to visit some people up on that mountain. And I remember our guide said, you know, no worries, Professor Mike, we not kill you today. Because I was 320 pounds and I was unhealthy and I wasn't getting anywhere. And I live in that environment, right? Is that, you know, people say, well, the freshman 15, well, it's freshman 50 now. And because of the pressure cooker that we live in, going from one class to the next, sitting, standing, going to the next class, sitting, you know, grabbing a decent meal, staying on a diet doesn't work at all. And so it was in those times that I was able to plug into Dave, you were my health coach. And, you know, I would stand in line and say, Dave, at the buffet today, they have fried chicken. And you would just help me with my blinders and move me to the salad bar and help me with some healthy choices. And so that was so much, you know, empowering. I got empowerment from that, and hope was restored, because anything else was a no deal. It just wasn't working for me. And so I was able to lose over 100 pounds on the program. And now I'm able to overcome that environment because the support that I have, not only from you as my health coach, and every one of our clients gets a health coach, but the community, like all this inspiration that's been going through this chat inspires us to stay on program, to stay on plan, and that support restores hope for all of us.
That's so great, Mike. And, you know, the support is the middle piece in all of these different habits. And so, you know, if you are in a position right now where you're watching this webinar live or the recorded version, and you're not really feeling like you have a great support system, that's where you want to reach out to the person that invited you to this webinar so they can get you plugged in to our community and to some consistent coaching calls where you're getting the coaching that's coming from our program to give you that guidance and accountability and encouragement to help you to take the steps to implement these simple habits that aren't very hard to do, but we just need a little guidance and support and structure to do it. Next, we're going to jump over to Jennifer Brown. Jennifer's going to share with us a little bit about how to manage stress in a healthy way. Jennifer, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you so much, David. It's such an honor to have experienced Optavia as a client and now paying this gift forward as a health coach. Stress? Really? I mean, whether you're a student or whether you're a teacher, I think we all have stress. And what we really want to do is learn how to manage that stress. So the picture of me on the left represents me 6 years ago at age 40, a mom of 3 great kids, now 18, 14, and 10, wife of 20 years, teacher, music therapist with 5 jobs, not stressed at all, exhausted, pre-diabetic, but forcing that smile. I had just finished my first half marathon, just walking because I was only half crazy. But you see, I was desperately trying to get healthy. And since I had been a chronic dieter my whole life, off and on every program out there since junior high, and realizing the older I got, the harder it was to lose weight. And I wrongly thought that I could exercise it off and nothing else was working. Although finding time as a busy teacher was super hard. But even after that half marathon was done, I signed up for 3 more in the next year because I didn't see the results I was looking for, and I was beating myself up for not working hard enough and intense enough. But the picture on the right, that is a genuine smile, because it's a lot easier to walk a half marathon not carrying around an extra 55 pounds. I had found Optavia and had changed my life, not just because it was simple and the weight literally melted off, because I had tools I had never been given on any other program. Now I have a goal to walk half marathons in every state in the US. And while it's easier to do these things without extra weight, every single half marathon I've done, over 20 now, it still takes me putting one foot in front of the other and never quitting. I did lose 55 pounds in 6 months 3 years ago. And let me tell you, it's a lot easier to walk those half marathons, but also as a teacher to be standing on my feet all day, doing dances with my music classes, directing choirs and teaching piano, coming home and fixing dinner for our family. I owe this to Optavia. But I used to do all these 5 jobs stressed. Mind you, I loved all my jobs, but no matter what jobs people have, teachers or otherwise, I think having healthy stress relief really matters. The acronym of BLASTED stands for the triggers that many of us have, whether we're a student, any students on the line tonight that are stressed about studying, or teachers. We have tools to teach our students the things that they need to learn in life. And even if being a teacher isn't your paid occupation, I know many on the line tonight are parents. You're teachers too. What are you teaching your children? We have to get good at helping our students and our own children know how to manage stress and get through the school year. Teachers and parents, we're all good at planning, lessons plans, who's taking the kids to what, but we have to plan for our health. So one of the best tools that I can recommend tonight is Dr. A's Stop, Challenge, and Choose. Talk to your coach or the person who invited you to understand how to do this, but it's in moments throughout the year, being bored, lonely, angry, sad, tired, or distressed. I mean, we can truly learn how to thrive in our school year and find fulfillment and success. Motivation alone cannot get us through these times in our life as we move from unhealthy to healthy. But if you surround yourself with support, as David was talking about, and like my half marathons, when I sometimes didn't think I would make it to the finish line, you too can transform your health and well-being simply by putting into action the habits of health, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. Thanks so much, David.
You bet. Well, thanks, Jennifer. The enthusiasm of all you teachers is just infectious, and your passion for the topic of health is obviously very apparent. And thank you so much for sharing your enthusiasm for habits of health and getting back to school with all of us. We hope that all of you enjoyed this particular Habits of Health presentation. If you're watching a recording of this presentation, share this link with somebody that you think would benefit, or comment down below and let us know that you enjoyed it. And we thank you all for joining us for the Habits of Health webinar.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the Optavia team.